Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Asher Goldsby with JJW Res, the first conscious real estate company. Now, my last video, I was talking about real estate. This video, it's gonna hit home for, I would probably say, about 90% of the people that are gonna be listening to this. And it's gonna be very passionate. And it's about domestic violence and emotional neglect. So, if this is a little bit too much for you guys, I apologize, but it's gonna be a little deep. So as I stated, I went through domestic violence for the longest time, and not even knowing I was experiencing it. So let's start from the beginning. So growing up, let's just face it right, you guys. I'm a brother, and my mom, she grew up in the South. So when when I acted out, the whip would get cracked, and there were times where I would say, I'm not mad about it because I'm not a drug dealer, I'm not in prison, so I can't be mad about it. But there were times where it was a little bit more than what was necessary. And so as far as the physical abuse, I've seen it. I was attacked at my son's mother's home by her sister. She pushed me over the railing. Luckily, I didn't get hurt. It could have been a lot worse. So I've experienced that. I've been in an argument where my ex, she threw like a big shampoo bottle on my face. That hurt a lot. So out of the way, so I've been a victim of it in regards to the physical. Never sexually abused, but people in my family have. And seeing the way that it impacted their lives really messed me up. They had serious anxiety issues. And, when you're 14, 15 years old and you're seeing a woman go through intense anxiety to the point to where, they run out naked or just so much. And the reason why was because their husband was abusive. And she, at a young age, was sexually abused. So seeing that happen, her go through all that anxiety, as a 14, 15-year-old, you don't know how to process that. You just don't. You can't process that. And so what do? You just resentment, anger. And like I stated before, my mother and my stepfather, they used to argue a lot about it. They just argue like a lot. And I used to be that child sitting on the top steps, plugging his ears because you don't want to hear the arguing anymore. I also remember my stepbrother. I remember him being shot, and that was difficult. Wondering if he was gonna make it alive or not. And the big one that messed me up was I remember I was 5 years old, and my father, who passed away, and his wife at the time, his wife, they had an argument, and she walked away, and he flipped the back of her hair, and she turned around, and they started physically fighting each other. And so I was 5 years old, he was playing with the Power Rangers at that time, with the little Megazord. And I'm just seeing that, and it just messed me up. And I didn't know, it's funny because I forgot. And that's a lot of us who undergo domestic violence or who've seen it. We forget that it ever happened, and then we grow up with this anger and this pain, and we don't even know where it came from. And I believe, and that was my first interaction with domestic violence. And it really messed me up. And so now growing up, I was always, and another family member, she, with her, she always had a mouth before she found God and helped change her. She always had a mouth on her. And so growing up, I had this very cerebral sense because I was always skinny, so I couldn't physically fight no one. So I always had this cerebral sense that, okay, psychologically, right? Because if I can get to the mind, then I can affect the body. Because I know a bruise is going to heal, but the mind, that can carry on further. And I'm just gonna be completely honest, man. Like, I'm just gonna keep 100 because that's the only thing I can't be, is just be honest with you guys. And I remember out of anger, man, this is hard. I remember out of anger, my mom, she used to have this favorite picture of me. It was like in a suit that was oversized, with a little briefcase. I was about 4 at that time. That was her favorite picture, and I was angry with her, and I ripped it up. And I did it because I was just mad, and I knew that by the time that she found out that it was gone, it would have been so far past. And I also remember being so angry that as a child, I ripped up all the pictures, all my baby pictures that had my mom inside of it, and I also and poked holes in my face of their wedding photos, my mom and my stepfather's wedding photos. And the reason why I say this, you guys, is because I wish as a child that I had someone there to talk to me. You know, I wish that I had someone there who could have showed me a better way. Who, you know, and I didn't have that growing up. I felt very lonely. My sister, you know, she's 10 years older than me, so she was gone. And so, you know, it's just, and then there's the emotional neglect. Growing up, you know, I remember I used to just tell my mom things, or like, you know, hey mom, I want to play football. I want to play basketball. I was really good at basketball too, and football and track. I was an athlete. I could have been a good athlete in high school, but you know, it was just the emotional neglect. They didn't believe in me. There was no belief at all, and that messed me up. And just feeling abandoned. You know, having my sister leave, having my stepbrother leave. And it just really messed me up as a child. So now I know that we've all experienced, and sadly, we've all experienced emotional neglect. Either your dad didn't go to your football games, or your dad didn't go to your recital, or you wanted to tell your mom about a book project that you was working on, or a science fair, and they just at the time was like, yeah, hold on, whatever, and they just went to go do their own thing. Right? That impacts us emotionally. And the reason why I know it impacts you is because it impacted me. I'm so passionate about this. Hey, ma, this, and that, this, and this. And it's just like, you know, and it kind of brushed you away. And so I just really hope that, because if I shine light on what it is, maybe I can help you guys get past it the way that I got past it. So that's domestic violence and emotional neglect. And I know we've all experienced emotional neglect, but I want to tell you guys something, and it's sad. It's very sad, is that I challenge you guys to ask every person that you know by name. Not even, this is people that you know by name, not the people that you don't know by name, which is a whole lot more, but the people that you do know by name. Ask them, have you been adversely affected by domestic violence? They will all say yes. Not all of them will say yes. At least one person. at least one person will say that they have been adversely affected by domestic violence. And I truly believe that domestic violence is a problem worth solving. Because I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of it. It's ruined my relationships with girlfriends. It ruined relationships with my son's mother. It ruined my relationships with my own family. And it's what just broke my family apart. And I don't, oh man, I'm just tired. And I don't want children that have to go through the same pain that I had to go through just because there wasn't a support group. So I can tell you guys right now that's been going through it, is that when you experience this stuff, you believe that you're the only person that's going through this. It's because we live in a very me society, because that's just how we're taught to think. That's just how we're programmed. And that we think that when something happens to us, it's only us, and that no one else is going through it. And I'm telling you now, you're not the only person that's going through this. And so this is where restoration is going to really reduce and alleviate the women, the 1/3 of women and the 1/7 of men who are going through domestic violence. Because the problem is this: as a child, you see it and it affects you and you don't realize it's affecting you. So you grow up and you start to relive it. And I'm telling you, because it happened to me. So it just keeps on going down the generations. That's why I don't get mad at my mom with the way that she, used to hit me as a kid, was because she didn't know any better. And guess what? I found out that my grandparents used to fight each other. And that someone else in my family was also abusive. And guess what? My grandparents, they didn't know any better. And their parents probably didn't know any better. And so on and so forth. And so that's why for me, I said that it stops here. And that for my son, that my son will not be abusive, because I'm the last person in my family that's going to be affected by this. So either way, you guys, I just want to say that restoration is going to be a resource and a service that's going to provide a support system, an online support group that's going to be monitored by actual therapists to help you go through what you have been through. Because I wished that as a child and as a teenager and as an adult that I had someone to go to with this. Because I'm telling you, and I've seen it before with one of my exes. I've seen it before when you harbor in this pain and this anger, right? It just doesn't, it's bad. It just eats you alive through anger and depression and low self-esteem. So to the people who've gone through this trauma and are keeping it silent, I want to let you guys know that there is a restoration coming. A restoration of the mind, a restoration of the heart, and a restoration of the soul. Right? Because honestly, chasing Rez was what healed me, and also Jesus Christ. And so, I just implore you guys, I encourage you guys just to hold on. It's just to hold on. I promise you guys, I make this promise to you, whoever's seen this, whoever's been through emotional neglect or domestic violence or homelessness or inadequate housing. And I'm going to talk about inadequate housing a little bit later on. But just hold on. Give me some time. And I promise you, I'm going to take care of you guys. All right, you guys, this is Asher Goldsby with JJW Res, saying I love you, God bless, and I wish you guys the best.